I want to tell you exactly what happened, because the version that was forming in the eyes of the people around me was not the accurate one. I am a frequent flyer. I travel for work approximately twice a month, sometimes more. Over the years, I have developed a set of habits that make this sustainable. I book early. I always select my seat at the time of purchase, and I specifically pay extra for an aisle seat in the first third of the plane. This is not vanity. I have a bad knee from a running injury 6 years ago, and sitting in a middle seat for several hours with limited ability to stretch causes real pain for several days afterward. The aisle seat is not a preference. It is how I manage a physical limitation. On a flight from Chicago to Seattle last month, I had my aisle seat. I had paid for it. I had selected it 8 weeks before the flight. I boarded early, got settled, put my bag in the overhead, and was ready for a quiet few hours. About 10 minutes before the door closed, a woman came down the aisle with a child who looked to be about 4 years old. She stopped at my row. She had the middle seat. The window was occupied by a man who had already fallen asleep against the cabin wall. She looked at me and asked if I would be willing to switch seats with her. She explained that she was traveling alone with her daughter and was nervous about having her child seated in the middle next to a stranger. She pointed to her original assigned seat. It was a middle seat, 6 rows back. I told her I was sorry, but I wasn't able to switch. I told her I had a knee injury and needed the aisle. She stared at me for a moment. Then she said, "She's 4 years old. She's scared of flying. I can't leave her sitting next to someone she doesn't know." I said I understood and I was sorry, but I wasn't in a position to take a middle seat. She sat down in her assigned middle seat, put her daughter on her lap for a moment, and then began to cry. Not loudly, quietly, the kind of crying that is somehow more effective in a public space than the loud kind. The people in the rows around us had stopped what they were doing. A man across the aisle gave me a look that I recognized immediately as social judgment. A woman behind me audibly said something to her travel companion that I didn't catch, but didn't need to. A flight attendant came over. She asked if everything was okay. The mother explained the situation. The flight attendant looked at me with an expression that asked me to reconsider. I told the flight attendant calmly that I had a medical reason for requiring the aisle seat and had paid specifically for this seat. I asked if there was another aisle seat available on the plane that the mother and child could be moved to so they could sit together comfortably. The flight attendant checked. There wasn't. The flight was full. I said I was sorry, but I was not able to give up my seat. The mother and daughter ended up seated correctly. The child in the middle, the mother in the aisle 1 row ahead, able to reach back and hold her daughter's hand during takeoff. The daughter cried for about 15 minutes and then fell asleep. I put on my headphones and tried to ignore the residual tension in the cabin. For the rest of the flight, I was aware that at least 2 or 3 people in my vicinity had decided I was a bad person. The man across the aisle did not make eye contact with me again. The woman behind me made a comment during deplaning that was technically addressed to her companion, but clearly intended for me. Something about people having no compassion. Here's what I keep thinking about. I did not take that seat from anyone. I paid for it. I selected it specifically because of a physical limitation that affects my daily life. The mother's situation was genuinely difficult, and I felt real sympathy for her. But sympathy is not the same as obligation. She had been assigned a middle seat. Her child had been assigned a middle seat. These were the seats they purchased. The assumption embedded in her request and in the reactions of the people around me was that my comfort was less legitimate than hers. That because she had a child, her needs superseded mine, that the correct response to her distress was for me to absorb the physical consequences of her seating arrangement. I don't think that is fair. I think if the airline's policy is that families with young children should be seated together, the airline should enforce that at booking or at check-in. I think the solution to this problem should not be found by pressuring other passengers to give up seats they paid for and specifically selected for documented reasons. I was not cruel to her. I did not raise my voice. I expressed genuine sympathy and suggested an alternative solution. The alternative solution was not available. I held my ground. Was I the asshole? I have thought about this every day since that flight. I am still not sure. Tell me what you think. Drop your verdict in the comments. And subscribe. New story every week.